Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam and you're watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. And today I'm going to give you my Flicks of the Week, which are my top picks from all the major streaming services this week, as well as your best bet for rental and the theater. As usual, I'll start with Netflix, and this week I'm recommending a little-known movie that a lot of people overlooked called Mojave. Now this one is actually written and directed by the same guy who wrote the American version of The Departed. So it's fairly smart, it's very sort of witty and snappy, but it's a cool little thriller about a guy, like a famous sort of Hollywood actor who gets lost out in the desert and then ultimately picks up a stalker. And then they sort of, it's not a cat and mouse, but they sort of start to play this game of intellectual chess with each other. There's a lot of heavy dialogue in it. I really enjoyed it. Oscar Isaac stars in it as the bad guy. It's got some really, really good scenes in it. Ultimately, it's not as glued together as I would have liked, but the cinematography is beautiful. The acting's incredible. Some of the scenes are intense. If it sounds like you and it looks like you, definitely check this one out. For just an all-out action movie, Hardcore Henry is one of the best currently available on Netflix. This has got a hard R rating. It's brutally violent. It's really going to appeal to people that play video games because the way this was shot is they mounted this GoPro rig on the main actor's face, the main stunt guy's face, and all you see are his arms, so everything is point of view. So as he's jumping through windows, falling out of airplanes, shooting people, fighting, everything's his point of view. It can be disorienting, it can be dizzying, but it is a really intense way to watch an action movie. There's some really intense action in it. There's science fiction. Sharlto Copley plays a really odd bunch of characters in it. You'll see what I mean with that. But it's got some really intense action, and you're just seeing it all happen from a very, very different point of view, quite literally, which is what makes this one well worth the watch. On Amazon Prime, Bleed for This is a really good little boxing movie starring Miles Teller. It's based on a true story that really got overlooked at the box office when it came out. But I liked it. I thought it was good. Is it Rocky level? No, nothing's really Rocky level. But if you're into the story at all, this one's great. It's about a true story about an up-and-coming boxer who suffers a horrific car accident, breaks his neck, and is really potentially never going to walk again, and somehow fights his way back to the ring. He's got the full Halo rig on, and he's starting to figure out how to work out and lift free weights in his basement. It is going to literally make you cringe. It's a great comeback story. It's beautifully shot, beautifully acted. It's hard to ask for much more in a movie, especially for one you can just pick up on Amazon Prime and not have to pay to rent. Mother, starring Jennifer Lawrence, is available on Prime. It's also available on Hulu at the same time. I do recommend this movie, but there are some caveats. So this is an art film. It is going to offend particularly Christians who tend to get offended at varying interpretations of the Bible. If that is you, you're not going to want to watch this movie. If you don't like watching movies that have really weird, bizarre storylines and endings, you're not going to like this movie. If you need movies to be fairly literal, you're not going to like this movie. So more people are going to dislike this movie than like it. I liked it by being able to watch it for what it was. I thought some stuff was a little ham-fisted. Some stuff was a little bit too heavy-handed on the part of Darren Aronofsky. He does tend to do that. But if you like his other work, like Requiem for a Dream, The Fountain, there's something to like here. I had a really good time interpreting this movie. In fact, I did a full video where I break down the meaning of everything in it. I'll put a link to that in the description. You might want to check it out if you've seen it, because it is chock full of spoilers. But I do recommend it as long as you maybe aren't excluded by some of the groups that I mentioned. So that doubles as a Hulu pick, but I'll give you one more. The Terminator, the original The Terminator, the one where Schwarzenegger is the bad guy, comes out on the 31st, gets released on Hulu. It'll be one of the best movies on the platform. If it's been a while since you've seen it, and it has been a while since I've seen the original The Terminator, because I like Terminator 2 way better, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to watch it. It's been a while, and for some reason, I don't think I own the Terminator, but how would I know? I've got way too many to sift through. If you like this video, please click the like button and definitely click the subscribe button and the little bell icon. I know that's 3 clicks and that's a lot of work, but it's the only way you'll get notified when I put a new video out. And I put one out just like this episode every Monday, as well as additional recommendation on Wednesdays and Fridays. All right, and for the premium cable channels, HBO has The Fugitive. I know it's a throwback movie. Some of you like to complain about that in the comments, but The Fugitive, don't forget, this Harrison Ford could almost do no wrong for the longest time, and The Fugitive is no exception. This movie is thrilling from beginning to end. Everything about it, it varies in its tone and its feel because the movie sort of evolves as it goes. I love this one. It's for that sort of classic 90s rated R action movie. This one is top of the heap. On STARZ, there's a little movie called Millions, which was actually directed by Danny Boyle. If that name sounds familiar, he directed Trainspotting, Sunshine, 28 Days Later, Slumdog Millionaire. Really, really accomplished director. And Millions is a really great movie from him, but a lot of people overlooked it because it's got a weird tone issue to it in the sense that it kind of feels like a movie for kids, yet it's totally not. I believe it's got an R rating, but it's about a little boy that finds $1 million or more than $1 million. He's got a little box that he hides out in, out in the woods. He basically makes wishes on a star, and then there's $1 million in his treehouse. Someone stashed it there after a bank heist. So you sort of get, it's sort of like half this little kid suddenly finds all of this money, almost like blank check, and then also half about these ruthless bank robbers that are coming back for their money. So it does have a hard edge to it, but again, the tone of it kind of feels weird. It's not a bad thing, but it's certainly a reason people would have passed on it when they otherwise would have liked it. On Showtime, Chef is one of the best movies available right now. I absolutely love that movie. Written, directed, stars Jon Favreau. He did this after sort of leaving the Marvel Universe. He did Iron Man 1 and 2. You know him from movies like Swingers, but this is a very personal project for him. If you like, cooking channels, if you like, Food Network, if you like going out to, fancy dinners or at least eating new and unique things, if you consider yourself, somewhat of a foodie, this movie is an absolute must-watch. Features Favreau going on this cross-country trip with his young son in a food truck. It features kind of like high-end fine dining as well as just like barbecue, tacos, Cuban sandwiches. This movie's going to make you hungry, so plan ahead. Plan to eat well and eat good, either before, during, or immediately after. You're going to want to, trust me, but it's funny, it's fun. It is rated R. It feels kind of like it should be a family movie, but it's rated R. It's for adults, but I absolutely love everything about this movie. It's not the type of movie, it's not the genre I typically gravitate towards, but it was one of my favorite movies the year it came out. Speaking of favorite movies the year it came out, Upgrade is so far one of my top movies of 2018. This movie really surprised me. It comes out on Blu-ray this week. I'm waiting to buy it. Now, it has been available to purchase on streaming for a couple of weeks. It's going to be one of the first Blu-rays I buy in a while. I haven't bought a new release Blu-ray in quite a while, just because I haven't loved anything that's really come out. I love this one. It combines sci-fi and horror. It's written and directed by one of the guys that created the Saw franchise, and I'm not a big fan of Saw, but this movie is clever, it's creative, it's a genre bender, it's got some twists and turns, it's got some really cool sci-fi elements unlike anything I've ever seen. It's beautifully shot. It looks and feels almost like John Wick at times, but then it's got this crazy sci-fi element. It's just absolutely my cup of tea. I cannot recommend it enough. It is brutally violent. If you're the least bit squeamish, don't watch it. But if you love that shit, you are going to love Upgrade. And then in the theater, a movie called Kin is coming out this week. It appears to be the only thing of real interest this week, but it's about a little boy that finds this futuristic rifle, this weapon. It's got kind of a cool cast. It's got a cool look to it. It's getting some decent reviews, so it definitely looks like the pick of the week. It's definitely one I'll be watching and reviewing at some point, but probably not right away, so don't be looking for a review from me later this week. This is a tepid recommendation at best, but it's certainly your best option for a new release this week. So that is it for my recommendations. If you like these, like I said, click that like button. It'll definitely help this channel grow. You can check out my Patreon. You can check out my podcast, the Flick Connection Podcast. Anything you want to do, I got tons of content, tons of way to support the show, but I'll be back on Wednesday with more recommendations.